the best thing you could do is just do the best not to be a victim. People always will try and pick on the people that are distracted. The best thing you can do, especially now, is don't be distracted. You can wait to look at Instagram or Snapchat. Unless you're watching my show, then you can still keep listening to it, but don't be looking at the screen. But you can still be listening to me. That way I can give you some good advice.
Created live on Fireside.
Welcome to Athletic Definition, sports and fitness news covering what's trending in sports and fitness around the world. I'm your host, Coach Ray Z. And today we're going to be talking about the UFC raising their prices again. If you enjoy UFC and their pay per views, we're going to be covering fitness tech, plus gym violence, and a lot more. Be sure to stick around to catch the latest trends. A new study just came out and it says that soda, breakfast cereal, and frozen foods could have an impact on cognitive health and long term research shows. They did a study in Brazil with over 10,000 people. Basically, what they did is they took active people who ate food that's been processed, drank soda, and it showed that in the long run, they show more likelihood of getting Alzheimer's and dementia. To me, we didn't really need the study to know that basically it's true what they say. What's good for the heart is good for the brain. Not only is, you are what you eat, it's also the amount of processed food that we eat, the amount of sugar that we intake. According to the Alzheimer's Study Association, it says 19% of blacks and 14% of Hispanic adults age 65 and older have Alzheimer's dementia compared to 10% of whites and other adults. And that research suggests that it could be due to food deserts, lack of being able to eat healthy food. I know some of us, depending on our financial situation, may not be able to get the best food, but there is an alternative to this as well. Because I know a lot of times we do frozen food for convenience. And me personally, I can't remember. I have one friend who did this. He's like, you know what I do is I just go and buy like 20 cheeseburgers from McDonald's and I stick them all in the freezer and then I have frozen food. And yeah, that's convenient. It's good if you don't know how to cook at all. The alternative is you can also save money, but then you're eliminating the processed food is to make your own food, make your own hamburgers and then freeze them, make your own burritos and then freeze them. Then they're still healthy, but you're taking out the processed food in it and you can still make it quick and convenient. Overall, it'll probably save you some money compared to buying individual frozen food. Google TV wants you to get active. Isn't that so nice of them? They are teaming up with Android TV, and it's going to be more so that you can basically eventually, the earliest release is going to be 2023, 2024. They're still working on integrating and doing all kinds of things, but they're not with Apple, but they're trying to do Fitbit, Android, so you can actually watch your pulse and all the other features that your Fitbit has on the screen while you're working out, making it more interactive. They want to do, there's talks about doing picture in picture on there. That way you can be doing like working out with someone else or having your coach watch you and make it more interactive. As we all know, the whole pandemic and being locked down and gyms not being open, it sped up the process of more apps for working out, more personal training online, more cross breeding type of training where you're working out a little bit at the gym and then you do your home workouts or a lot more private type style workouts as well. If you're a big Android, fan, that's good. I'm more of an Apple guy. So we'll see what kind of a new tech that Apple will come out to try to rival with Google. There's talks of them getting the NFL ticket, which of course that would be next year, and that'll definitely help them rival, but not necessarily if they're trying to do it in fitness. But then of course we'll get into that because it's part of the gadget. So we'll talk a little bit later about some of the features that Apple does have. And then this happened what a couple days ago, and I'm a runner. I'm a endurance athlete. I just love working out. I follow all kinds of news media outlets, and this story came out and it made me laugh when I heard it. It says athlete loses race in Colombia after his penis comes out in the middle of the run. So an athlete, he lost the 400-meter race at the 2022 World Athletic Championships due to a wardrobe malfunction. 18-year-old Alberto Nannino, who is from Italy, was competing in the 400-meter decathlon in California, Colombia, where the incident took place. And he tried several times to put it back and he failed. You can actually see the whole race, which in the what I saw, I couldn't actually. It's not like the closing, doing close-ups of it or anything like that. I the best you could see is one picture where he's like trying to adjust. I thought it was pretty funny. I've never heard of a situation like that. I know some runners wear some short shorts. I personally would not be rocking a brand new pair of shorts the day of the race. And if you were rocking those, then it's your fault. And I guess the disqualification is valid. If you were to try on the shorts, and you would know that you're too big for your shorts, and that could have been all avoided. Staying on the same trend that guys can't keep it in their pants, Rodolfo Castro is an infielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he made a slide, 2 days ago, I think, to be safe for a base, and his iPhone fell out of the pocket. Now, he did get asked about this, and the translator translated basically saying that he got dressed, had his iPhone in his pocket, completely forgot about it. He put some sort of pad in there and he came out. And then when he slid for the base, it came out and the umpire mentioned it to him. He said he's embarrassed that he doesn't believe any other baseball player does it. And he doesn't, he said he's embarrassed it happened to him. He didn't mean to do it. Now with technology, the possibilities why they were saying something could have maybe be fishy about this is that since Houston Texans like to cheat, maybe they were going to use a cell phone as a form of cheating, but that didn't happen. So that in basically this past week, two guys couldn't keep it in their pants. According to a new survey, and this is I probably found it a month ago, but I completely forgot to mention it. There's so many good stories. Sometimes I don't have time to cover them all. But according to a survey, 8% of men and 7% of women, which to me is one, I found it incredible that men would think that, but I'm like, yeah, okay, it's like the bro, yeah, I'm a tough guy. But then it's only a percentage less. 7% of women believe they could beat a lion in a fist fight. A lion. When asked if they could beat an elephant or gorilla, the stats rose to 9%. That is, I don't know if these people actually have a real sense of reality of how big a lion is and how strong and powerful. And if they bite you, you're pretty much through. I don't know if people have an idea of how strong a gorilla is. Have you ever seen a monkey shaven? If you've ever seen a monkey shaven, you can Google it. They're completely shredded. They have so much muscle. A gorilla is just going to rip you apart. I wouldn't want to fight a lion. I would not want to fight, nor do I believe that I could beat a gorilla. I want to get, if you believe and you are one of these people that did this survey, I think this was on Men's Health, which I'll include in the show notes if you want to read the article. Yeah, if you actually responded yes and you think you could beat a lion or a gorilla, I definitely want to have you as my guest and find out what type of training you do. In jiu-jitsu, there is a choke move called Mata Leon, which means kill a lion, and it's basically a rear naked choke. Even though I know that move, do I want to go and attempt it on a lion? Hell no. I don't want to attempt it on a lion, and I don't know anybody that would. I do know of a runner who got attacked. It came out in the news maybe a year ago by a mountain lion, and he did a guillotine on it, basically broke its neck. It turned out to be a small lion, and people were kind of like making fun of the guy, but I don't think they understand the power, the agileness, and how scary that situation would be. And even if it's a smaller lion, mountain lion, it could still just rip you apart and just shred you to pieces. And then up against a dog, they think no sweat. 60% think they would have no problem with putting a dog to sleep with a solid right hook. I recently got bit by a dog. It wasn't tiny, tiny. It was between medium and smaller, and it bit me on the calf, and it took me out for over a month. I have a really high pain tolerance, and I could see it taking out other people for a longer time. If and it just kind of caught me so off guard. I wasn't expecting it. If something like that happens with a small dog, I don't think if it's a larger dog, a pit bull, a German shepherd, a Doberman, anything like that, that most people even realize the power of a dog and how you really can't do nothing, you know, to defend yourself. Majority of people who get bit by a dog is when they have another dog fighting with their dog and they're trying to break it up. So if you've experienced that and have an idea of how difficult it could be to stop a dog fight, you wouldn't be one of these people thinking you could just knock out a dog. There's always going to be these crazies, and we need them to balance out the world. This one is a kind of a strange one, but a goose. Who would want to fight a goose? Now, I have been many years ago to a park. I can't remember the name of the park. It's in Pico Rivera, and there's a bunch of lakes. And right there, the geese and the goose and the ducks are pretty aggressive. If you try feeding them, they're kind of used to people. Me and my daughter had to jump on a bench to avoid getting bitten. They could be pretty aggressive and scary, and they seem to kind of run in flocks. I don't know. I would like to think that I could beat up a goose, but then again, I don't go picking fights with animals. If that's you, like I said, I'd love to have you as a guest, but not you pretending that you really. I mean, I want someone who actually believes that they can. And then I just want to know, what type of training do you have? Do you have any survival skills? Do you have any animal handling skills? Did you ever work at a zoo? Or uh, that to me is fascinating. Or do you have any martial arts experience that you think you could just go out and beat a lion? So Disney owns, or not Disney, UFC got bought. And since they got bought, it's been good and bad depending on if you're on the side of the fighters, if you enjoy it or not. A lot of the fighters got upset because of the contract they did with Reebok at the time, and they couldn't make sponsorship money as easily. And that was a while back. But now, since the pandemic, I give credit to the UFC. They did Fight Island. They did everything they could to keep some sort of normacy at that time, and watching UFC fights, even with no crowd, just kind of felt made you feel at least somewhat back to normal, a little bit of escape. So I give them credit for that. The thing is that today, Dana White shut down that UFC fighters get paid enough. They get paid as much as they're supposed to get paid. Well, I want to know, what are you guys doing with all this extra money? This is the second time this year during inflation where, as your subscription base is rising, you raise the prices for the second time. You cannot order a UFC pay-per-view fight without having a subscription to ESPN Plus or ESPN the app, which back in 2020 during the whole pandemic, I was like super bored, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. I think they had a lot of 30 for 30, so I wanted to kind of catch up on them. So I paid for the subscription for the whole year, and then you get a discounted price of getting the fight for like half off. And I was pretty upset and did not renew my subscription when I found out you actually don't get ESPN. You do not get ESPN when you get the ESPN app. And I let them know that I wasn't going to be resubscribing. I'm getting ESPN, and it's almost like false advertisement. And I wonder if anyone's thought of a class action lawsuit, because you're telling me, and unless it's in the fine print, which I did not read, but I would assume that majority of people don't, when I'm paying ESPN app, that I would be able to watch ESPN. Well, that is not the case. And it was only like, I think halfway through the year, they finally decided to show NFL prime time, which I was happy, but that wasn't part of the package. And I thought I would be able to watch like the ESPN Thursday night games or whatever games they had. I couldn't do that. It was limited. I don't know if it'll change, but for the last 2 years, 3 years, Yahoo Sports app is free and you can watch your Monday night game, your Thursday night game, your Sunday night game. You can watch all of them and it's free, completely free. You don't have to pay for anything. And then when you pay for the ESPN, you still have to pay for the pay-per-view of UFC. So they raise their price. And so the monthly subscription for the ESPN app is $6.99 a month, which it went up. If you buy it annually, you save. I'm not sure how much it is now. The current price after the second hike that they did this year, the pay-per-view went up to $74.99. As of August 23rd, they raised it from $69.99 to $100 for a pay-per-view. They have a pay-per-view once a month. So besides paying for the ESPN app, you're basically paying $1,200 just to watch every pay-per-view, which I think is pretty expensive. Raising your prices twice during inflation on all your fans when your subscription base is growing and you guys are saying you're not making enough money according to the article. And then when the fighters ask for more money, you don't want to pay them. The good news, according if you are into ESPN, it says ESPN. I don't purchase it after my experience. I don't have Disney and I don't have Hulu. I actually don't own a television. I haven't owned one for years. So it says that the bundle will remain the same. You'll get ESPN Plus, Disney, Hulu for $13.99 per month. So if you it's almost like they make you get more stuff to get a better deal. But what if you don't watch Hulu or Disney? So that's something you could decide, and you let me know. Are you a big enough fan to keep paying more and more money for UFC fights? They do put on good shows overall, from the undercards all the way to the main cards. It's not like the boxing where you'll get maybe one good undercard if you're a boxing fan, but if you're not, then you pretty much just get the main event. And depending on it, it may not be sometimes that entertaining. The last big fight I could think of is the Canelo fight, which he lost. And it wasn't that entertaining. It was okay, but I can't remember how much the boxing fights go for nowadays. I saw an article on the 10 best fitness products for futuristic workouts. I don't think all of them, I think they kind of did a little stretch on a few of them, but I'm going to start off with number 10. 10 is called a sculpting system. And basically, what it does, it takes your body weight percentage, it, the, which a lot of those machines you can go to a gym and they'll make you hold it and it tells you that. But the difference between this one is it could actually tell you where some of your muscle imbalances are, which I think would be very helpful. I feel that a lot of us have muscle imbalances and don't realize it until we start getting injured and then we ignore them. Someone's always complaining about a hip or a knee, and that has a lot to do with like overcompensation because you're imbalanced somewhere and you're to avoid the pain, you start maybe using your left foot a little bit more, leaning in with it, and then your whole body starts to break down. So if you could target it with technology, that would be good. This article is from Australia, so I don't know how much it really is in the United States, but it is via Bluetooth. The second one is called Power Dot, and these are attachments that you basically attach to your body. And I've seen versions of this. The first person I ever see do anything like this is Bruce Lee. They made a machine for him where they basically put I forget the things where like when they do your EKG and they put it to your chest, and basically Bruce Lee could be sitting down and doing like 100 push-ups in 1 minute or 300 push. That was the equivalent. And then when I've gone to fitness expos or to a marathon expo, they came up with they look like the size of an iPhone and they're battery operated or USB operated now. And they basically stimulate your muscles, basically like that machine that Bruce Lee did used, but more compact. And then what you could do is bring up the levels so you can get like a massage out of it as well. And this one, it connects directly to your phone. So you don't actually need to go buy that equipment. It just comes with those attachments. So that's something as far as for massage and recovery that might be helpful. It is Wi-Fi, and it's called Electric Muscle Stimulant App. This one is called the Theragun Mini. Those Theraguns have become very popular. They're basically massagers. The one downfall to me on those is if you don't have someone to help you with it or give you a massage in those hard to reach places, sometimes it's your back, then really having one of those is just an expensive gadget. This one I've never used, but I've seen it. Foam rollers are good. They're good for recovery, but this is an electric foam roller. It's Bluetooth operated, waterproof, which I'm not sure why you would need a waterproof foam roller, and it lasts for 120 minutes on one battery life. According to them, it helps you increase your range of motion by 40% versus a regular foam roller, which increases your range of motion by 18%, according to them. The number six is JBL Life Free um, earphones. There's many different brands of earphones now for endurance athletes. They have some that just last for hours. So if you're going to be out like on the trails, basically, you don't have to worry about recharging. These ones are JBL Life Free, but there's so many different ones. I'm not really sure why they picked these. I'm kind of skipping over this. Number five, they consider NutriBullet Personal. I I've seen them, I've used them. They're good, they're convenient, but I don't really consider it something techy or new. Moving on, this one's cool. This is something new. It's a rope that comes with an app, so you can do jump rope, and it keeps track of how many calories you burnt, how many jumps completed. But besides that, it has 23 LED lights to keep your workout entertaining with variety. And by the lights changing, you will actually know when to stop, when to keep going. So it's interactive, it's fun, it's keeping track. It's called Tangram Jump Rope. And once again, I don't know what 129 Aussie would be, but it's Bluetooth, and it says it is workout for fun, calories burned, and revolutions. I think that's a pretty cool idea. This one is called the Osmosis Smart Bottle, and a lot of people always struggle with drinking enough water. Well, this thing hooks up to Bluetooth. It looks like to more than one gadget. Can connect to your phone, to a Fitbit, and it'll basically even alert you and let you know, hey, you need to drink more water, or you haven't drank this much water. So it's like a smart water vase that bottle that lets you know how much water to take. I know a lot of people struggle with drinking enough water. So that's an alternative where you could use technology to make sure you drink enough water. Number two is the Apple Watch Series 6. I'm a fan of the Apple Watch. I wish the battery life was a little longer. Maybe on the 6, it is longer. I have the 3, it's the older version. When I go out in the mountains, sometimes I am out there for 8 hours and there's not good GPS. It kills the battery even quicker. That's my one drawback on the Apple Watch. But besides that, I really just love how it connects and it's interactive with everything, my iPad, my phone. It comes now with, or keeps track of your blood oxygen, your steps, your calories, your heart rate, and your sleep, plus all kinds of features. And the number one that they have, and I've seen this, and I actually haven't mentioned these before. They're called the Smart Scales. I know a few people that have them, and they keep track of your fat loss, your muscle mass, your water retention, your heart rate, your body composition, and it's all customized to you. And then they also hook up to your Fitbit, so it kind of keeps adding information to it. That's a pretty cool tech thing. I don't really recommend yourself weighing yourself every day, but if you like stats and stats help you stay motivated, then that is something that you could definitely find useful. So I wanted to move on to the last thing, which is gym violence. Last week on the show, I mentioned that in Texas, I think he was like just a couple years older than him. He went and he shot. There was a shooting at Alley Fitness in San Antonio, and I'm like, I wonder, if there's a love triangle going on, gang violence, and I forget the third one. And a week later, I found out that the police chief from over there said it was just a random act of violence, and they killed 34-year-old Brandon Braxton, a father of three who was recently married in spring. He worked. He has 3 kids, and it's just a senseless act of violence. Monday, so 4 days ago, here in California, there's a city called Monterey. Put an off He was off duty. He was a Monterey police officer who just graduated from the academy, local from here, grew up in Bell Gardens, went to Cal State LA, got his degree in criminal justice, just got out of the police academy on July 2nd, and he was going to LA Fitness in Downey, or that was in the parking lot. I'm just going to assume, because it's barely, all this is barely coming out, that he was there to work out. His name is Gardiel Soriano, 26 years old. Two guys attempted to carjack him. He tried to get away. They shot him 5 times and killed him. And he is survived. He was the 13th child from his family. He's survived by his brothers and sisters, mom and dad, and fiance. And that was outside of a gym. And then today in Brentwood, California, well, it happened last night at 1:55 a.m. There was a fight, and I've worked at gyms, I've worked at LA Fitness. I see fights break out at the basketball court all the time. So the 17-year-old got into a fight with, I think, I can't remember how old the guy was. Oh, with a 21-year-old, and they brawled inside the gym. And hey, you fight, get it out, handle it like men, walk away. Well, no, this spilled over to the parking lot, and when it spilled over to the parking lot, the 17-year-old pulled out a gun, shot and killed him. And they have been arrested as well. Also, on the police officer, they arrested the people responsible today, which is good news. But I'm going back to what I mentioned last time. You can't do nothing about guns. But even when you're going to somewhere where you're trying to better yourself, you have to be aware. I've been a victim of robbery with gunpoint. I've had my car broken into multiple times. You don't want to keep things in your car where you're going to be more of a victim. Like, let's break into that car, lock your cars. I saw the report of how many cars are stolen too. The most popular one, trucks. It was the top 10 list. Don't keep anything valuable in your car where it's going to make you a target. Be aware of your surroundings. When you walk out of the gym, don't be looking at your phone. Be aware of where you're going, who's around you. If we're meant to go, we're meant to go. Like that police officer, there was probably nothing he could do. The um, as far as I know, I have police in my family that they carry guns with them. They're in LA, but they won't go anywhere without a gun. And I understand why. It's dangerous. I'm sure that police officer had a gun. He probably didn't have time to pull it out. Just because you're a police officer, doesn't mean anything. I meant last time when I got robbed, when I had to call the police, I got transferred 3 times before I got to the correct department for my area of LA. Unfortunately, you're going to have to learn how to protect yourself. Self defense to me is one of the best ways that you can learn how to protect yourself. A good school will also show you like situational things, that way you can protect yourself and to be aware of your surroundings, all these things that we take for granted. But nowadays, as everything is, I'm not sure if it's worse than before. Now with the media, we just get to see it more, but we definitely have to be aware of our surroundings. You don't want to be a victim. Like I said, I've been robbed more than once. And oh, okay. I see Jason in here, and he said he lives near Brentwood, which for people who don't live in LA, Brentwood is a pretty nice area. That's it's pretty like nice, where it's expensive. I mean, all of LA is expensive, but that's a pretty nice area. So I was kind of surprised at that. But at the same time, with what's going on, y- you just have to sometimes be willing to walk away. It's better to that guy. I don't know. I don't know. It's just senseless acts of violence that are going on. So that's what I'm saying. Be aware. To me, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is one of the more effective martial arts that you can do. Another one is Muay Thai. I love boxing. I have done boxing. I haven't done it in a while. But boxing, I think the average person would probably break their hand if they've never done boxing and just try to punch someone. So that's why I like Muay Thai. Muay Thai is basically like kickboxing, but you do your knees and your elbows, which are very strong, easier to knock out someone, even if they're bigger than you. And you probably, I've never heard of anyone breaking their elbow while giving an elbow versus someone just punching someone and then them breaking or spraining their hand. And most people don't know how to punch correctly, so they could use the wrong part of their hand, and then these bones are very fragile. They could break depending on where you live. Because like in Texas, where that senseless violent act, people, as far as I know, are able to carry weapons, but you just never know nowadays. It seems like you can't go anywhere, like even my happy place, which is the gym, to be able to go, and that's where you're supposed to be able to go and get out your frustrations, get out your steam, not go out and still fight and shoot someone outside of the gym. And it's sad if we find out that the police officer was there to work out and that's what happened to him. The two guys, one guy that I know, as far as I know, he's a piece of shit. He had already been arrested for what was it? He domestic violence, holding someone prisoner without their will, which is like kidnapping, some other charges. He had just been released in February, and then you go and someone so young, full of potential, you just take their life away. So it's so important more than ever. I don't think I can stress it enough. Be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention when you walk out. Don't be on your phone. Carry an extra set of keys in case someone says, "Give me your," because it seems like the police officer that killed, they were trying to carjack him. Get the key, an extra pair of keys, and if someone asks you, "Give me your car," get those keys and throw them. Those are keys to nothing. And then take your real set and get in your car and try to get out of there as fast as possible. I've been in neighborhoods where if it wasn't for those automatic cars that lock, I would have been carjacked because I had like 20 gang members try to open up my doors from both sides. This was trying to leave a comedy club in East LA. I got robbed by two gang members. They pulled out a gun at me. They took my jewelry. And this is while I was at work. They've stolen my Cadillac converter. Actually, they recently stole it. That's why I don't have a car right now, because Cadillac converters, the theft, it's just gone up dramatically, and everything as far as theft is going up with the pandemic. I was getting back from running at Griffith Park, which is in Hollywood, Los Feliz area. And when I'm walking back, I see like 2 feet by my car. And I'm like, oh, the nerve of this person. He's just like leaning on my car. Well, it turns out he wasn't leaning, he was in my car going through it. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to run up and just kick the door and try and break his legs. And then I see a Suburban parked right next to it with the doors both open. And I'm like, oh, it's dark. Who else is there? I could go run and kick him, but I'm going to get killed if there's more people in there. What I did is I walked towards my vehicle because I was already going there. And then I pretended it wasn't mine. I made a right turn. I got the phone. I called 911. That's where they transferred me. That's where they transferred me again. That's where they transferred me again. Meanwhile, I'm seeing people going in through my car, which I had already been, my car broken into. So I had nothing valuable in there. I took everything out. That way, there's nothing to take. So basically, I saw them going through my car. They took nothing because there was nothing of valuable. I described the vehicle to the best that I could, and they got away. And that happens a lot. I was working at the bank for 10 years. I leaving work right in front of the bank. They take the they open up my hood and they take like my muffler thing attached to I forget what, and they stole my battery. And this is right after work. I was like, oh, just then the same place, my assistant manager gets his Cadillac Escalade stolen. So just I've seen it too many times. The best thing you could do is just do the best not to be a victim. People always will try and pick on the people that are distracted. The best thing you can do, especially now, is don't be distracted. You can wait to look at Instagram or Snapchat. Unless you're watching my show, then you can still keep listening to it, but don't be looking at the screen. But you can still be listening to me. That way I can give you some good advice. Let's see. Brentwood, California is a very wealthy community. Matter of fact, it's the one of the most richest communities in Northern California. Okay, and that was from Jason, and I was thinking that too because I looked into it, and there's a Brentwood over here in Southern California. But then I kept seeing the reports of Brentwood like in the South Bay, so I started thinking in my mind there was another Brentwood up in Northern California. The Brentwood in Southern California is also a very wealthy community. I could be wrong, but I think that's where O.J. Simpson lived in Brentwood, California. And I've been there before when I was delivering medicine. I worked for a medical company and I deliver medicine to patients. That's where I got robbed, delivering medicine to a patient, but not in Brentwood. But I've gone to Brentwood because I had to deliver to patients there. So I'm familiar with the Brentwood in Southern California. It's also very, that's where I was thinking was taking place. So thank you, Jason, for giving that additional information. And yeah, I just want everybody to have a nice and safe weekend. And I hope you enjoyed the sports and fitness news and what's trending around the world. I am your host, Coach Ray Z. I think I already lost track of how many episodes this is, but I think I'm on episode 140 or 130. We'll see. But thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you possibly tomorrow because I was so happy that my injuries were over. I got cleared by the doctor last Friday because I got bit by a dog. And the doctor finally said, you're an athlete. You can test it out. If it hurts, it's up to you. So on Friday, I went for a run, very happy. Didn't feel anything wrong with me or my body, except I definitely lost all my conditioning. Everything that I worked for as I'm preparing to run 3 marathons in 3 days in October around Lake Tahoe. But I definitely lost everything. And then on Saturday, I played basketball with my son and my nephew and his friends. I need new basketball shoes because they made blisters on two of my toes next to the pinky, which hurt, but my pain tolerance is high that I just keep going. And then many, many years ago, I dropped a giant boulder while in the mountains on my foot. So I had to get the toenail removed. And then many years later, playing basketball, something, when you stop so quickly to cut, something happened. And then I removed the toenail myself. And now it's the same toe from stopping so quickly. It's like purple and swollen. And then, to me, that's no big deal. Sunday, nice and hot here on California. It was 99 degrees. I walk to jujitsu 3 miles with my backpack with over 10 pounds in my back. The gi of a jujitsu is at least 5 pounds. So with the water and everything I took, it was at least over 10 pounds. Then I trained for a couple hours and then I walked for the 3 miles back in the 99-degree heat. So it was a great workout, feeling good. Just so happy to be able to work out again, that I try to do everything that I normally do. Sometimes when you don't do jujitsu in a while, you get like mat burn. So I'm not sure if I got mat burn on the side of my ankle. And then the next day, because I had mat burn or a couple little scratches, I didn't sleep with a sock. So I'm thinking maybe I got bit by a spider. I'm not sure what happened, but now my left ankle is just swollen. Um, that cut got bigger. I had just all these issues. And so now I'm like, oh, is this a sign from the universe telling me don't do the marathons in October? Or at the same time, I've done this so many times where the first 20 marathons I ran, I did it without training. And at the same time, part of me wants to do it. So now I'm just like debating. But I have Jason Barajas who is coming up. Welcome, Jason.
What's going on, Coach Ray? I have a question. When you're training for multiple marathons like that, so close, how many calories a day are you eating? Because that's a lot of road work, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of food to have to ingest too.
You're right. And you know what? I've never really counted calories for myself, but I only eat about 2 meals per day.
Oh,
And
is that all? Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah, I try not, it's just the way I know a lot of fasting is intermediate fasting is like the popular thing, but growing up, just my body always felt more natural eating less. Being Mexican American, my mom would always be like, "Hey, mijo, get some food or get something in your stomach before you go." But I would kind of feel like puking. So I always like to, when I would go out running in the backyard, I like to do it on an empty stomach. And then as I got older, I started hearing about intermittent fasting and the benefits. And then I'm like, oh, I've been doing intermittent fasting my whole life without really knowing it. So I don't really count calories. I think I probably do eat more though when I'm training for something like that. And I definitely go probably like on a little gluttony binge for like a week after such an event.
I know when I've run marathons in the past, I would be up to like 8,000 calories a day because I would count calories for protein and fat
Mm,
that I needed to know because of the amount of road work I'd put in. So, but I haven't ran a marathon in a long time. Also, a jujitsu practitioner, and yeah, if you miss like 3 months, 2 months, if you're 6 months, you're gonna feel like the first two sessions at least. You're gonna feel way out of it, and uh, it just takes a while to get those reps in to where you feel like you can roll the way that.
that is for sure. And ever since the whole pandemic, I've just been trying to inch my way back into that rhythm. Right before it happened, I was on a roll. I had just received my first stripe, and I was just feeling my first stripe as a blue belt. And I was like, just feeling like it was starting to come. And then the whole pandemic, and I just stopped training. And then I was training again, and then they stole my Cadillac converter. But I don't care. I'll walk to jujitsu. To me, that's fun. I enjoy it. So I just, some people say, "Oh, well, it's hard for me. I don't have a way." If you really want to do something, you'll find a way to do it. And since I hadn't been able to do it for such a long time because of the dog bite, I was really itching to go back. And yeah, I could definitely feel it, but I was happy. And you just feel so good after, someone tries to choke you. It's so weird.
Yeah, well, for I think as a man, it's just something about rolling and wrestling. It's just something that gets out our hidden aggression. We don't know that we have the tension, and then when you're done, I mean, you figure an hour and a half to 2 hour class is a lot on the body, but you don't realize how fast it goes after warm ups. Then there's the actual lesson, and then you're spending mat time, and
Right.
time flies by. You don't. I I don't know. I never realized how late it is, and all the guys and girls in the studio I go to, everyone's willing to help each other out. Like if you do have a ride problem, there are some people who barely afford to pay for their monthlies, but they make it, and people just help each other. I think the jiu-jitsu community is one of the most friendly communities I've ever been in, and I've been in other martial arts.
Yes, actually, I do get rides like on the way back, and sometimes, well, when they're going, they'll call me up if they're going. Hey, I'm going to go train. And actually, this was a story I meant to talk about, and I completely forgot. But there was a jujitsu guy, last name Low. He I never got to train with him, but I see a lot of my friends post about him, and I follow. It's called the Jiu Jitsu Times, and they were talking about him. He was killed in an act of violence in Brazil, so I wanted to pay my respects to him. Black belt. See if I could look up his name real quick, but basically he was at a bar over there, and this guy must have been pretty ballsy because he was there with four other friends, and this guy went and grabbed the bottle of liquor from their table and snatched it, tried to steal it. He took him down. Someone separated him, and when they separated him, he got shot twice in the head. And turns out that the guy who shot him is a military police officer. So he's been arrested, but it's just sad when so many people have been inspired by him. Um, and I don't know if you heard about him. Leonardo Lowe, that was his name.
Um, Lalo,
Leonardo Lowe.
is that what you said?
No,
Oh, yeah.
Leonardo.
Oh, I don't know if I know him. I don't know if I
Okay.
know him.
Yeah, I just, and from people from Brazil to people I know in Texas to people I know in San Diego, they were all over actually. They were just showing, the influence that he has been to the community and how greatly he will be missed. And the week before, I was saying how I love to see when the bad guys get what's coming to them, and this Filipino black belt in jiu-jitsu the week before in New York stopped some homeless crazy guy who just going around punching people, and he just took him down. And I was saying usually they don't get hurt, and then he ends up getting killed. So you never know. Even if you're a black belt, you have to be careful. I had Steve Maxwell on here, who's like within maybe the first 10 black belts in United States. He's 69 years old now. He's the first kettlebell teacher on here, and he went to go compete in Brazil. And he said he saw two guys coming behind him, and then a couple guys in front of him, and he knew that he was about to get robbed. Even being a black belt, he knew better. He's like, let's go inside this hotel. He talked to the person in the hotel, and he kept talking to him until those robbers left. So even if you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you still have to be smart. You can't do nothing against, I'm maybe if you're lucky, but multiple attackers, knives, guns. It's still, and it's unfortunate. He was out at a bar, he got killed, but overall, it's just trying to be aware of your surroundings. Sometimes if you're meant to go, you're meant to go, because he did everything right, and I'm sure he could have held him down. He had no idea that the guy had a gun. So uh, it was pretty tragic. And there was someone else in the sports world passed away that I wanted to kind of mention, but I, there's so many different stories that I want to always try and cover. I try and do the show once a week, but I can't always do the show because I have guests. Hopefully by next week, I will be back with more guests. Been super hectic, and also the Spanish show. So if you like Spanish, it is the only Spanish show on Fireside. And I bring on guests from all walks of life, all different parts of the world. I've had mountain climbers from Mexico, ultra runners who ran Badwater, the world's toughest ultra. I've had jiu-jitsu um, practitioners from Honduras. So I try and just bring in people from Latin America, all over, just to inspire. And you don't even have to be a great athlete. It's just when you look at the obesity rate, oh, it's a pandemic around the world. And certain parts of Mexico, it is cheaper to buy Coca-Cola than water. And because of things like that, it's like I don't know of too many fitness influencers that are trying to spread a message of, hey, maybe watch what you eat or anything like that. I knew by going into fitness, which is my passion, that I'm be going up against competition. And from what I've heard from all the experts is I'm doing it the wrong way. And because I'm not niching down, but I am who I am. And in the long run, I'm just trying to spread a message. I don't have to reach millions of followers like Joe Rogan. It would be nice, but if I could reach a few, if I could get a couple of people to start working out, being a little bit more active, start to watch what they eat. But then I looked up fitness podcasts in Spanish, and I found pretty much no competition. And just from the 3 episodes, I could see the response of viewers that it's getting and listens. And I'm surprised the other countries that are listening too. So I want to keep just motivating people to be active, because some of my guests, like I said, they're just going to be normal people. But normal people sometimes have it the most difficult. We're talking moms, dads. You're still playing the parenting role. You still have to go to work, but you're still being active, and you're being a positive role model for your kids. So look forward to more shows of that. That is also here on Fireside. So once again, thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you, Jason, for coming up and sharing your insight on jiu-jitsu and didn't know it was marathons. And Graciela, thank you for being here. WadeBot, you're always playing the music. Everybody watching on the stream on Twitch, Facebook, and who checks out the replay, I appreciate you. Till next time, this is Coach Ray Z, and I'm out.